for those who know me and for those who are going to know me just now, is what am I doing here at Women in Tech? That's actually the question I asked to the organizers. I say, Women in Tech? And how do you see me there? They say, yes, we see you for what you're going to talk about. And I'm going to tell you about technology of happiness, which is actually a technology. So who am I? I have to say I'm a person who is into diamonds, but inner diamonds. My passion is about supporting people to unleash their inner diamond, this amazing potential we have within. I love supporting people to their shining. My passion is empowering people. And I've created Be and Become 3 years back now, which is about that, about empowering people. And I do that through public speaking, training people in public speaking, because when I found that people get the skills, get unlocked their ability to share their message and to get their voice heard, they grow in confidence and in leadership and in happiness. So how did I arrive there? Only 3 years back. Did I do something before? Actually, empowerment of people has always been my obsession. I worked 17 years in humanitarian aid. So I've been in Bosnia, Colombia, Eritrea, Zimbabwe, Nicaragua. I don't remember, many other countries. I lived in more than 10 countries and worked in more than 20 humanitarian crises. And today, I want to tell you about technology of happiness and success. How many people we are here? I don't know, maybe 60, 80? Yeah. Let's say we are 80 people. If I would ask you right now, what is happiness? What is success? We would have 80 different answers, or maybe 75. If I was to ask you, how many people in this room would like to know the key to unbreakable happiness and success? We would have 80 years. Well, maybe 78, because there's always one or two that like to be different or to show like they're different. You know who you are. Is there a magical recipe to happiness? Actually, I don't believe there is a magical recipe to it. I like to believe in the continued education that life brings to us through the good experiences, through the experiences that make us cry. I like the wisdom of the universe, always sending to us the messages and the messengers that we need, always at the right time. That's magical, but that's not magic. That's powerful, and that's real. There are no tricks, only authenticity. So there's no magical recipe to happiness and success. But there's a very simple technology. And this simple technology, I learned it with people who gave me the best smiles from ear to ear when they had all the reasons to cry. I learned this simple technology with the people who've been the most generous with me when they had nothing left. I learned this simple technology during my 17 years in humanitarian aid with people in the aftermath of natural disaster, in war zones. People who had nothing, but who had everything to teach. Let me share a first story when I had my first breakthrough about what makes happiness. It was 27th of January 1999. It was my second humanitarian aid mission. I was deployed to Colombia. The center of Colombia, the Coffee region, had been devastated by a massive earthquake. There was no one house standing. People were still living in the area where they used to live, so that nobody could steal their land. But they just weren't there. There was no roof, there was no wall, there was no window, there was no door, there was just rubble. And that day, I remember it because it was even super foggy. It was just despair. And in the middle of this fog, I see this lady waving to me, like calling me, come on my side. So I go in her direction. And in my head I was saying, what am I going to say to this person? She's lost everything. A house, probably her life savings, and maybe worse, her family, her loved ones. What do you say to a person who's lost everything? So I walked towards her, and when I reached her, she was here standing with a smile from ear to ear. She says, come, I'm going to make you coffee. And then she found a little piece of brick where I could sit. And she took a sock, that color, a dark brown sock. She filled it with coffee, and she took a piece of cup. Actually, it seems it was looking like to be a really nice organic filter for the coffee. I was really touched, but then, you don't lose your mind. And I was looking at the sock, and I said, well, how the brown has come to the sock? Is it that it has been used by the food before? Is it that there's been more coffee? Is it that it got dirty with the rubble? Because we were 2 days after an earthquake. There's no way to have a white sock. And then she started putting the water in the sock over the cup. And again, I say, well, actually I was coming to the place to identify the spots where to locate what we call the water bladders, which were the water points to give access to safe drinking water to people, because there was no safe drinking water. And she had warmed the water next to me, but just warmed it a little. She didn't boil it, because she wanted probably to save the woods. So I was looking at my coffee dripping out of this sock, and I said, that's going to be my first time that I'm going to drink a non-drinking coffee. And she was here, smiling. I didn't know what had been in this sock before, if anything. I didn't know how the brown had come on this sock. And I didn't know how my body would react to the coffee, to the non-drinking coffee. But I can tell you that I knew in this moment, I would never forget this moment. And I'm telling it to you exactly as it was so many years after. This lady, she was just smiling, standing tall, and giving me the only material thing that she had left. And my first lesson that day, I said, actually, I helped her to feel alive. Not because I did anything, not because I gave anything, but just because she gave me. I was the recipient. And have you noticed that when you give, actually, you smile? You cannot give from the heart without smiling. Or if there's someone who gives something to you in your life or in your work without smiling, no, don't take it. That's not a gift from the heart. When you give, you actually stand tall. Have you ever tried to give something shrinking? No. When you give, actually, you restore the balance. You are equal. And during all these years in humanitarian aid, after this first experience, I started looking about the first interaction with the communities or the people I would meet. And I have noticed that the communities where we would work, where people would be, of course, immensely affected, but would be like asking, begging, or sometimes demanding as a first goal. It was very difficult to work with them, to really help them to get back on their feet. But when the first interaction with people was that people would welcome you, sometimes just with a smile, because they have physically nothing else. They are displaced from their hometown because of conflict. They have lost everything. They may not even have a coffee and a sock. but they welcome you. They give you a smile. Or they give you maybe the food of the month that you have to eat in front of all the village staring at you, but with their heart full open, amazed about what they're giving to you. And with these people, it's so much easier to get them back on track. Why? Because they're giving. And as entrepreneurs, isn't it something important, like to be resilient, to be able to bounce back, to know how to start from zero again and maybe again, to know how to smile and to stand tall even when the cash flow is a little low? Well, you know, I think that's the lesson I learned as a human being and as an entrepreneur from this Colombian lady. Give. Give. Give is the first thing. Because when you give, you feel alive. When you give, you are resourceful. And isn't it what we need in life and in our business? Life, energy, resourcefulness. Isn't it what the world needs also a little more of? Second story. That story is yours. Remember the first time, the first date you had with your love, with your, think of the last relationship, but when I say the last relationship, if you are married, it's the married one, okay? Okay, very clear. So let's think of this relationship, and if you're not married now, or you're not officially in a couple, just think of this last love story. The first date. How many hours did you spend to get ready? How many hours or how much care did you put in choosing the restaurant? Or the activity you would do together? How much effort did you put to display all your qualities and to listen and be amazed by the person you had in front of you? Yeah. Yeah, I can see in the smiles in the eyes. Yes, I remember, of course. And then some years pass. Some of us, some months, or even some weeks. He's not giving that to me. I would expect she would do that. So we start looking at what we're not getting. We start listing all what is wrong about the person we have in front of us. We don't spend too many hours in the bathroom. Sometimes we even skip the bathroom. The restaurant? Oh, we don't go anymore. For what? What's been the shift? At the beginning, you were focusing on what you gave to the relationship, what you were giving to the other person. And that was what was exciting you. Then you start forgetting about what you give, and you start looking at what the other person should give you, what I'm not receiving, what I expect to receive. When were you most happy in the relationship? When you are focusing on what you give, right or not? When was more exciting? When did you feel most alive? So let's take a second relationship, the work. Remember the first interview with this company you're working with. Or if you're an entrepreneur, remember this first meeting with the client of your dreams. You were like a peacock, displaying colors, showing all the best of you, and focusing how you're going to solve the life and the needs of this person in front of you. And you were very sincere. You know you can make a change in this company, and that's what you want to make. You know you can transform the business of this person with your services or with your product. You can transform their life, you can make a change, you can have an impact. So you're focusing on what you give, and that's so exciting. That's when you feel alive. And then the years pass, the months, sometimes the weeks. Thanks God it's Friday. Oh my God, I need to meet again these clients. I wish they would change the sales managers from time to time so I don't have the same person in front. Suddenly, what has shifted again? When I was focusing on what I give, the contribution I can make, the impact